responsibility, add value. Every day, we see the vision and we think of acceleration, fueling the foundation with passion, gearing up as we raise benchmarks, striving to deliver our best for what's next. At HYSEA, we aspire and commit to transforming the future for when tomorrow comes. This is about shaping tomorrow, capitalizing on endless opportunities for growth, devoted to innovation through technology. Bright minds work towards a shared vision. Together, we stand stronger to brace ourselves for the next moment. To accelerate growth and collaborate to create synergy. We build on roots that gives us purpose, connections that uplift, sustain and develop, inspiring talent with industry knowledge, thriving on a mission to fulfill with responsibility, add value. Every day, we see the vision and we think of acceleration, fueling the foundation with passion, gearing up as we raise benchmarks, striving to deliver our best for what's next. At HYSEA, we aspire and commit to transforming the future for when tomorrow comes. This is about shaping tomorrow, capitalizing on endless opportunities for growth, devoted to innovation through technology. Bright minds work towards a shared vision. Together, we stand stronger to brace ourselves for the next moment. To accelerate growth and collaborate to create synergy. We build on roots that gives us purpose, connections that uplift, sustain and develop, inspiring talent with industry knowledge, thriving on a mission to fulfill with responsibility, add value. Every day, we see the vision and we think of acceleration, fueling the foundation with passion, gearing up as we raise benchmarks, striving to deliver our best for what's next. At HYSEA, we aspire and commit to transforming the future for when tomorrow comes. This is about shaping tomorrow, capitalizing on endless opportunities for growth, devoted to innovation through technology. Bright minds work towards a shared vision. Together, we stand stronger to brace ourselves for the next moment. To accelerate growth and collaborate to create synergy. We build on roots that gives us purpose, connections that uplift, sustain and develop, inspiring talent with industry knowledge, thriving on a mission to fulfill with responsibility, add value. Every day, we see the vision and we think of acceleration, fueling the foundation with passion, gearing up as we raise benchmarks, striving to deliver our best for what's next. At HYSEA, we aspire and commit to transforming the future for when tomorrow comes. This is about shaping tomorrow, capitalizing on endless opportunities for growth, devoted to innovation through technology. Bright minds work towards a shared vision. Together, we stand stronger to brace ourselves for the next moment. To accelerate growth and collaborate to create synergy. We build on roots that gives us purpose, connections that uplift, sustain and develop, inspiring talent with industry knowledge, thriving on a mission to fulfill with responsibility, add value. Every day, we see the vision and we think of acceleration, fueling the foundation with passion, gearing up as we raise benchmarks, striving to deliver our best for what's next. At HYSEA, we aspire and commit to transforming the future for when tomorrow comes. This is about shaping tomorrow, capitalizing on endless opportunities for growth, devoted to innovation through technology. Bright minds work towards a shared vision. Together, we stand stronger to brace ourselves for the next moment. To accelerate growth and collaborate to create synergy. We build on roots that gives us purpose, connections that uplift, sustain and develop, inspiring talent with industry knowledge, thriving on a mission to fulfill with responsibility, add value. Every day, we see the vision and we think of acceleration, fueling the foundation with passion, gearing up as we raise benchmarks, striving to deliver our best for what's next. At HYSEA, we aspire and commit to transforming the future for when tomorrow comes. This is about shaping tomorrow, capitalizing on endless opportunities for growth, devoted to innovation through technology. Bright minds work towards a shared vision. Together, we stand stronger to brace ourselves for the next moment. To accelerate growth and collaborate to create synergy. We build on roots that gives us purpose. Connections that uplift, sustain and develop. Inspiring talent with industry knowledge. Thriving on a mission to fulfill with responsibility, add value. Every day, we see the vision and we think of acceleration, fueling the foundation with passion, gearing up as we raise benchmarks, striving to deliver our best for what's next. At HYSEA, we aspire and commit to transforming the future for when tomorrow comes. This is about shaping tomorrow, capitalizing on endless opportunities for growth, devoted to innovation through technology. Bright minds work towards a shared vision. Together, we stand stronger to brace ourselves for the next moment. To accelerate growth and collaborate to create synergy. We build on roots that gives us purpose. Connections that uplift, sustain and develop. Inspiring talent with industry knowledge. Thriving on a mission to fulfill with responsibility, add value. Every day, we see the vision and we think of acceleration, fueling the foundation with passion, gearing up as we raise benchmarks, striving to deliver our best for what's next. At HYSEA, we aspire and commit to transforming the future for when tomorrow comes. This is about shaping tomorrow, capitalizing on endless opportunities for growth, devoted to innovation through technology. Bright minds work towards a shared vision. Together, we stand stronger to brace ourselves for the next moment. To accelerate growth and collaborate to create synergy. We build on roots that gives us purpose. Connections that uplift, sustain and develop. Inspiring talent with industry knowledge. Thriving on a mission to fulfill with responsibility, add value. Every day, we see the vision and we think of acceleration, fueling the foundation with passion, gearing up as we raise benchmarks, striving to deliver our best for what's next. At HYSEA, we aspire and commit to transforming the future for when tomorrow comes. This is about shaping tomorrow. Capital.
Prashant. Hi. So there's some high tea out there, and you're all please welcome to go and have some refreshments. We'll start at 5 o'clock.
This is about shaping tomorrow, capitalizing on endless opportunities for growth, devoted to innovation through technology. Bright minds work towards a shared vision. Together, we stand stronger to brace ourselves for the next moment. To accelerate growth and collaborate to create synergy.
Can we all assemble and we are ready to start? Can we all come and gather inside? They can't hear me outside.
పిలుస్తావా
బయట వినబడదంట సార్.
ఇది తీసుకెళ్ళి పిలుస్తావా అంటున్నా. I'll just go announce. All the delegates, can you hear me? Can you hear me, please? Your attention, please. Your attention, please. Let's start assembling here.
Now you don't get people.
Now they will come. We are herding them inside.
You asked him to put the mics then.
I'll keep it easy. He has no sound.
Ask him to get one.
This is about shaping tomorrow, capitalizing on endless opportunities for growth, devoted to innovation through technology. Bright minds
Let's
work
quickly
towards
get
a shared
settled down,
vision.
please.
Together, we stand stronger to brace ourselves for the next moment. To accelerate growth and collaborate to create synergy. We build on roots that gives us purpose. Connections that uplift, sustain and develop. Inspiring talent with industry knowledge. Thriving on a mission to fulfill
May we have the
with
panelists come and
responsibility
take the
and value.
the sofas out here.
Every day, we see the
Arun
vision
Shrikant,
and we think of acceleration, fueling the foundation
And we
with
would also
passion,
like the
gearing up
presenting
as we
startups to
raise
come and take the
benchmark,
front seat.
striving to deliver our best for what's next. At HYSEA, we aspire and commit to transforming the future for when tomorrow comes.
if there are more of your buddies still there, please bring them along.
This is about shaping tomorrow, capitalizing on endless opportunities for growth, devoted to innovation through technology. Bright minds work towards
Our
a shared
special
vision.
invitee, Ayodhya Ramireddy Garu, is
Together,
right
we
here.
stand stronger
We'll wait for
to
a couple
brace
of more
ourselves
minutes and get
for
started.
the next moment. To accelerate growth and collaborate to create synergy. We build on roots that gives us purpose. Connections that uplift, sustain and develop. Inspiring talent with industry knowledge. Thriving on a mission to fulfill with responsibility and value. Every day, we see the vision and we think of acceleration, fueling the foundation with passion, gearing up as we raise benchmarks, striving to deliver our best for what's next. At HYSEA, we aspire and commit to transforming the future for when tomorrow comes.
Good evening from HYSEA and THub for the Catalyst Industries Startup Innovation Confluence. A warm welcome to the audience, speakers, our special invitee, and the keynote speaker. May I invite Manisha Sabu, President HYSEA, Infosys, Vice President and Campus Head, Hyderabad, SEZ and Indore onto the dais. For the benefit of new audience to HYSEA, HYSEA is Hyderabad Software Enterprises Association. We are a 32-year-old not-for-profit association. We work towards the benefit of the IT industry. We bring in interventions that places the IT Hyderabad industry in the global markets. We work as a fulcrum between the government and the IT industry and the ecosystem. We represent 90% of IT workforce and revenue. I invite M. Srinivas Rao, CEO, THub, to join us on stage. We are happy to partner with THub, which is India's largest incubation center that brings together startups, corporations, government, academia, and investors. Today's program, ESG Focused Catalyst, is a domain-specific platform, and that brings the end users, community, investors, academia, mentors, and advisors onto one platform. And today in this gathering, you get an opportunity to interact with all of these. This program is third in the series that we have conducted. We have already done the FinTech as our first edition and Life Sciences, and this is third in the series. I welcome special invitee A. Ayodhya Ramireddy Garu, the founder Ramkey Group, mentor for startups and entrepreneurs, MP Rajya Sabha. Please join us on stage. Thank you. I now request Kishore Bora, MD, Energy Tech Global, Managing Committee Member, HYSEA, and one of the Environment Forum leaders to set the context for today's program. Over to you, Kishore.
Good evening, everyone. Respected Ayodhya Ramireddy Garu, MSR Garu, and Manisha Sabu, President, HYSEA, and my fellow managing committee members at HYSEA, distinguished panelists, startup founders, investors, mentors. I welcome you all for the third HYSEA Catalyst event, and you already heard Shanti telling you that as an organization, as an Apex IT organization, we represent more than 90% of Hyderabad IT and IT industry, both in terms of revenue and headcount. And having witnessed a phenomenal growth that is happening society at large, especially in the sustainability space, because sustainability is no longer under good to have category, it is under must to have category for many organizations. Having seen a transformational change happening in that sector, and also looking at various business opportunities that are emerging in ESG sector, HYSEA has put its spotlight on ESG as one of the key focus areas. Apart from talent and transformation and skill development, ESG is one of the key focus areas for HYSEA team for the term 2020 to 2024. As part of this initiative, what HYSEA did was it has created a ESG forum, and ESG forum mostly consists of subject matter experts from the member companies, and we also have some independent private property consultant firms, representatives from independent property consultant firms, and then some consulting companies, NGOs, government. So what we did was, for the last 1.5 years, we have focused on uplifting three aspects in Hyderabad IT corridor. One is the green energy, the other one is e-waste management, and the third one is green mobility. And this forum members actively involved with Telangana government, Telangana State Electricity Regulatory Commission, and then we work with consulting firms such as PwC, E&Y, and we work, of course, with our member companies who are having large IT parks, tech parks, and small and medium scale companies. And we also work with startup ecosystem such as we have got exclusive partnerships with THub, and educational institutions like IIIT Hyderabad, and trade bodies like Federation of Telangana Chambers of Commerce, right? And we also work with NGOs, and we also work with real estate companies here. So what we do is, overall, as our motive, we were working on uplifting the ESG posture of our member companies. We were trying to help them in embedding E, S, and G aspects in their business decision-making process and their organization culture. And we're bringing the ecosystem together so that they can look at sharing the best practices, and also look at the future trends and opportunities. So we have been doing it actively. Apart from this, one of the main focus area for this ESG group, HYSEA ESG group, is continuously deliberating on how would we upskill, how would we increase the scale of the ESG scale of, or ESG posture of the Hyderabad IT corridor as such. We know that Hyderabad is a popular IT destination for the larger MNCs across the world, and we wanted to ensure that it would continue to remain as an attractive IT destination, not just because of the existing IT ecosystem and the talent pool, but also because of the ESG attractiveness too. And that's what we are trying to work, and we have made good progress in that area. And looking at the Catalyst event and today's event, so as you heard that this is the third in the series. We first started with fintech and then life sciences, and the third one is ESG. So this is a testament to the fact that HYSEA's continued efforts towards the sustainability area. And what we did was we reached out to all our member companies and asked them to share their focus areas and the areas of pain. Right, and then we collated all this information from them, and then we reached out to the startup ecosystem. And when we did this analysis, we have come up with we identified a few themes from our member companies, such as green energy and clean tech. We got waste management, both solid and e-waste. We got carbon footprint management. We got water management, and then we also have SDG mapping and reporting. So we reached out to the wider startup ecosystem, and we invited applications. I know there are many startup founders sitting here, and only 8 of them have been shortlisted for the panel discussions. So it is because we were looking at the interests of our member companies first. So, and then we try to understand what areas that they are focusing on, and that's the reason why some of you have been chosen to be to be one of the finalists and partake in the panel discussion. But we were so excited to see all the entries, and you guys are doing amazing work, and you are the companies which the world needs. And today, through this Catalyst event, we wanted to promote the collaboration, connections for all the startup founders with the industry, mentors, investors, and some exciting discussions are going to happen. You will hear good keynote speeches, panel discussions, right, and then some exciting announcements, agreements are going to unfold on this dais. So I wish you all the best, and I would want you to make the most use of this time and networking, and please stay back until the end of the event, participate in the networking dinner, and make the most out of this event. So thank you very much. I will hand over the proceedings back to Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Kishore. That was very comprehensive. I request Manisha Sabu to please address the audience.
Good evening, everybody. There are 6 million IT employees in India as of now. That is the growth we've achieved in last 30 to 40 years. And now, as per analyst, we will be adding 2 million in next 3 to 4 years. That is the growth that we are looking at. And the Hyderabad is here. I'm sure you want to get the lion's share of this 2 million in Hyderabad. That's what I thought. As soon as I heard that 2 million numbers, how many are we getting in Hyderabad? And what are we doing to get this 2 million here, and a majority of this 2 million in Hyderabad? As Hyderabad IT Industries Association, it's not just a wish, but it's a responsibility for us to make sure that we understand, analyze, and plan for it. So the first question, where is the growth going to happen? It is in GCC and startup area. 60 to 70% of the growth will be in GCC and startups. It is not in services industry. So it means that we need to change the way we have been working, the people that we have been talking to, this has to change. So coming to the startup part of it, what is it that HYSEA can do to get more, become kind of a magnet? Hyderabad should become magnet for startups. And what is HYSEA can do it? So when it comes to what we can do, the question that we should ask was that, what are my strengths? What is it that we can play on? What is it that we can bring to the table? So our strength is all the large organizations who are our members. What is it that the startups need? Startups need the large organization to mentor them, tell them what are the problem statements for which they can create solutions. Startup needs somebody to fund them. So the best way we can help startups to come to Hyderabad is by bringing corporates, VCs, and startups together. And with this thought and advice from the Bhishma Pitamaha of Hyderabad IT, I can safely say that about J.A. Chaudhary Garu, with his advice from people who are deeply ingrained in the startup system like Ramesh Loganathan, and of course MSR. We said, okay, let's all come together and see how can we create an ecosystem for startup, and that's where Catalyst was born. As you heard from Kishore as well as Shanti, this is the third Catalyst, and with what I see is that the venue size is increasing as we are adding the addition. So it means that it's becoming more popular, more meaningful, and more enriching experience for the participants. More and more people want to be part of this. So thank you everybody who has accepted to give their time here today. And I will request Shanti to move forward with the agenda. Thank you so much for being here. Because your presence is what makes the event successful. Shanti is the person who keeps me on track. Thank you, Shanti. This is something very important that we want to talk about. When I said that we want to build the ecosystem, we want mentors, we need people who will invest, we have done 2 catalysts, and you'll notice that this has started helping us. One outcome of this is Phoenix Group has come forward to mentor the startups from the ESG space. That's a very big thing, because you know that everybody in Hyderabad knows about Phoenix Group. They're big, they're very forward-looking. So I'm so glad to have Phoenix Group mentor our startups who are participating. Thank you.
So during our discussions, we had Phoenix Group come forward and offer saying they would want to have an MOU between THub, HYSEA, and Phoenix, so that they can offer technical mentorship to all these startups. So we consider this a very good outcome of the Catalyst program that we are putting together. So the startups grow and together we all grow. So this is a good beginning for all of us. Thank you. May I now request MSR to come and talk to us about the ESG plans. They have several cohorts running. Eager to hear to you.
Good evening. First of all, Honorable MP Garu, Sri Ramireddy Garu, Manisha Sabu Garu, and the office bearers of HYSEA, Srikant Garu from Phoenix, and of course, all the startups, the corporates, the mentors, and we have the entire ecosystem here. We also have people from the banks here. So it's an honor and privilege to be here at the third event of Catalyst. The first 2 events, the FinTech and the Life Sciences and Pharma event, went off really well. Most of our startups benefited hugely, right? And this whole, when you're building an entrepreneur ecosystem, essentially when you think about an entrepreneur ecosystem, you need startups, you need large companies who believe in paying it forward, which is what members of HYSEA are doing. You need funding institutions, which could be banks, which could be VCs. You need industry associations, of which HYSEA is a stellar example. And of course, you need media and you need government to come together, right? So I think we've been able to achieve that to a significant extent. So thank you for being here. I just thought, before we get into talking about what we are doing at THub, I'm sure many of you would have read, this chap called Taleb. Yeah. So there is a quote from Taleb which I read a couple of days ago. So I thought I'll start with that. And the quote is, unlike his quotes, which are usually very long, this one is a fairly simple one. He says, difficulty is what wakes up the genius. Okay. And I was trying to do some reading on, when did this term ESG come up, right? And actually, it's almost a 20-year-old term, right? There's some background. There's a gentleman called Kofi Annan, who was the UN Secretary General, So he called a meeting with large companies, large financial institutions, and the International Financial Corporation commissioned a study in 2004, and then 2005 they came up with a report, right? And I think the name of the report, I wrote it down here. The name of the report was "Who Cares Wins." Okay, and when you think about it, it's very profound, right? Because I think we all have a responsibility to leave the planet in a better shape than when we came in, right? When you think about it. So this was the first time. So very quickly jumping on to what we are doing, and broadly the philosophy behind what we are doing at THub from a ESG perspective is essentially, think about this. We all want to live on a planet where we can breathe air, fresh, clean air. We can eat healthy food, okay, and we can live sustainably, right? So very simple. So that's what we are trying to do. So today we have close to about 90 plus startups whom we are working with across different spectrum of the ESG part. So we have startups in green energy and green energy and clean tech. We have startups in SDG mapping and reporting. We have startups in waste management, both solid and e-waste. We have startups in carbon footprint reduction and carbon credits. We have startups in water management, right? And some of them are there at the back. So I think this opportunity, to partner with HYSEA is something we value deeply. I think, Hyderabad, I think all of us do believe that Hyderabad can be the next startup capital of India. Startups, my last submission to all of you is ESG is important because we have to combine profit with purpose, right? That's one of our goals at THub, that everything we do must lead to a better and more sustainable planet. And this is something which we emphasize with all our startups, that we are not in the game for valuation, but we are in the game of building sustainable businesses which scale, which grow, which create jobs, and obviously enrich the ecosystem. So thank you again, the team at HYSEA, and thank you, sir, for being here today. You are a real inspiration for all of us, how you've been able to combine your role as a corporate leader and also build one of India's largest companies in the environment space. So thank you for being here, and look forward to hearing from you, sir, and also, of course, the panel discussions. And thank you for all the startups, and thank you for the team at THub, which has done, the team at the back, you can all wave, for putting together, a really well-curated list of startups who are going to be part of the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. So I had to announce that we do not have Ronald Rose, IAS, join us. We just heard from him. He regretted because of the election code. I thought it would be good for me to let you all know. You may be wondering why. So our next agenda is about unveiling of the ESG and CSR white papers. There's a little bit of a background to this. Today's catalyst intervention is actually one of the recommendations from the white paper that we're going to be releasing now. So in July of this year, HYSEA conducted ESG conclave, and as one of the outcomes from the conclave was this white paper. We conducted a roundtable discussion with about 55 speakers, and the conference had about 100 plus NGOs and 600 delegates from the ESG fraternity. We conducted this conclave in partnership with TSIG, that is keeping with our word that we would want to go with the ecosystem and do things in collaboration with our ecosystem partners. So the conclave actually featured 2 roundtables, as I said. The discussions from the roundtable have been documented, and we are now going to be releasing the white papers. The outcomes from the white paper has been that ESG, we said, how can ESG principles be incorporated into the business decision making, and how can organizations build a culture to promote sustainable features. These have been the deterministic outcomes from the ESG white paper. We also have brought out a CSR white paper, which talks about shaping the future of CSR, collaboration, innovation, and impact. This discusses the evolving landscape of CSR in the business ecosystems. May I request our special invitee, A. Ayodhya Ramireddy Garu, to please launch the white papers. So, keeping with our promise, we have really not printed many of these copies, but the copy is available on our website, www.HYSEA.in. It's in our resource section. So all of you should go through. We discussed the best practices, and there are quite a few cues. Yeah, there are quite a few cues for the startups to develop on what next is going to happen in the ESG space. Kishore and Prashant, the leaders from the ESG forum. The environment segment is being led by Kishore, and Prashant is the forum leader for the ESG. The white paper also had a lot of inputs that have come from our ESG forum leaders. One of the ESG forum leaders, Sharif, is also part of us. Satish is here. They've all been working behind the scenes. Please join us. So we also take the stage because we also did our bit for the white paper. We move on to our next segment. Ala Ayodhya Ramireddy. Did I get your name right, sir? Or rather, somebody advised me just say A. So, A. Ayodhya Ramireddy, founder of Ramki Group of Companies, our special invitee and keynote speaker for the evening. I have quite a few things written about him which are very specific to this group, and you will be interested in knowing that. Ramki Group, founded in 1994, is a pioneer in executing many public-private partnership projects with a vision, this will be interesting for you, with a vision of sustainable development in emerging global markets, including India. Under Ramki Enviro Engineers Limited, they provide comprehensive environment management services for commercial, industrial, and municipal customers. Listen to this. They offer a whole gamut of best-in-class services for waste management as hazardous, municipal, biomedical, and e-waste, recycling, wastewater, paper, plastic, and integrated waste. In addition, they also offer renewable energy consultancy and integrated environment services. So this must be making complete sense as to why we have him as our special guest today. He is currently a member of the Rajya Sabha. He's passionate. This will be very interesting for the startups. He's passionate about startup and entrepreneurial mentorship. So all that you have to do is just walk up to him and seek for that. And he offers this under the ARR group. As a keynote speaker, we'll get his insights on navigating the path to sustainable prosperity, ranging from green energy to carbon credits. Ayodhya garu, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Srinivasrao garu, Manisha garu, the best of the industry here, various stakeholders around mentoring, the mentors, mentees, ladies and gentlemen. I'm extremely happy to be here for this evening function. The program Catalyst, organized by HYSEA, support from THub, and all the invitees here are sitting here with the purpose to see, how all of us can be, most of us, how we can contribute to the growing economic situation, balancing the sustainability while we are growing economically. If you look at India for the last 75 years, we have grown. But if you look at, there were a lot of gaps in our growth. Globally also, similar situations. The time we have reached here for next 25 years for India and for the globe, I think the time has come. While the economics grow up, carbonomics have to come down. So that means there is a real opportunity for every stakeholder to look back and then see how they can improve the environment in the areas where they are working. As you all know, environment is God. All the 5 elements embedded in that. So when I look at myself starting this journey in 1994 to build sustainable solutions for the businesses are the life path which I have taken, everywhere I try to see sustainability as a key goal. United Nations has come out with their sustainable development goals, as you all aware, are most important from my point of view. I always kept on talking about those goals, which really brings us at a platform where each one of us has to, can really balance our businesses around that. Now, my experience I want to share, while I say how India has moving from a 4 trillion to 40 trillion in next 25 years, it is asking for a 10 lakh crores of investment only in the infrastructure space. If you look at that infrastructure around agriculture, manufacturing, services and the infrastructure, all these 4 areas combinedly, the infrastructure investment that is going to go is to that extent, almost 40 lakh crores of investment every year. In that, coming to the waste management space. Waste management in urban areas and industrial areas. If you look at the solutions around these two, has a major impact. The moment we talk of this building, the entire design, engineering, the products that are going to get in, the entire execution, the operation and maintenance. At every phase, there is a lot that we can save. Here, that is an opportunity for a startup, which was not looked at in the past. Around every industry, same thing, civil infrastructure, environmental infrastructure, social infrastructure that we have built. Most of the places we have never applied our mind. While we had environmental impact assessment, environmental audits, environmental monitoring programs, they have never focused the way it is supposed to be. So means the diagnosis that you can bring in all these 4 areas of investment for next 25 years within India, a huge opportunity around environment, which will bring in the best of the impact on the social aspects. So I have built a business model, whether it is in infrastructure construction or the environment and waste management or the real estate and the agri-farming or the consultancy and advisory, in which Ramki Group, actually now I am only a founder. There is a team, professional team, with the best of board and governance, shareholders are happening. But my last 35, 40 years of journey, my past journey, actually what I have seen in these areas, actually this company and this group has built around that. So when I look back and see from now to next 25 years, looking at these sort of investment opportunities, I think this is the place where I can tell you, if I was doing a 100 rupee business and making a 10 rupee profit, I can tell you with the same resources in place, I can ensure that this business goes up from 100 to 200 and this 10 profit goes to 30. That is the type of opportunities where the entire startup ecosystem has an opportunity to build for themselves. So I just wanted to tell all of you that you are at a right spot. You have the government facilitating, both from central government to various state governments, including Telangana. And then an ecosystem like HYSEA and THub, facilitating and hand-holding. I can see putting up the right kind of mentors and subject matter specialists coming in place. The future is fantastic for every mentor and for every startup. But I wanted to tell few things for these startup entrepreneurs. For all of you, there is a good business opportunity. We also know where is that opportunity. We also have solutions. But the issue is, for all the startups, I want you to know that the business knowledge is very important. The knowledge that you have to accrue in terms of identifying or in terms of diagnosing the opportunities in the existing environmental platform, I think, you should, for that you must work in that sector. Just coming from school, it's good, everybody have interests, etc. But my experience I wanted to tell, because from 2006 onwards, I have been, I was mentoring, I was investing around few startups. More than 23 I have invested. Okay, but not a great success story, because my sector itself was not matured enough, and still, a lot of risks in the system, so people were not ready to take up. But I can tell you the time is ready right now. Now it is the right time. So understand the knowledge, for that diagnose, get into the entire spectrum of waste management, water management, wastewater management, air pollution control, noise pollution control, solid waste management, and all the tools of environment for governance. So we have to understand that. Then that adds with the skills that we need to develop. So everywhere, for some time at least, we have to work in that particular area to understand what are those real gaps. Today I can tell you 10,000 problems, for which startups can give solutions in these 4 companies where I have had the experience. There is a lot. In fact, we have diagnosed and we have put them actually. So there is a great opportunity for every individual around and every organization around that. The skills also, there is a very limited number of people. Everybody is looking at how do I create a value, how do I make some money. Yes, we must make money. But end of the day, it has to be techno-economically viable solution. And for that, we have to be time tested. Okay, so certainly the skills that are required for the startups, you must get in and try to understand those things is one thing I am telling. And then finally, my advice to the teams here is this, the attitude with which we are going to work. At every level, hard work, commitment, is certainly very, very much required. And then I can tell you, this country has huge opportunities because we have the best of the talent, there is no doubt. We are also, I have also seen globally so many countries, more than 38 countries where, I had my operations and establishment. So I could see actually where are those opportunities, what sort of opportunities. Now, as a global village, when we look at the solutions that we can bring in around India, certainly they can be replicated in the rest of the world. People are looking forward to Indian brains. You all know that I need not talk much. So, the point is, around environment, there is a huge opportunity. And here is one organization which is India's largest environmental organization, which created more than, I think, 40,000 industries as their clients, and more than 5 lakh beds of hospitals every day they handle, more than 2 million tons of hazardous waste they handle. Every waste there is an opportunity for recycling, recovery, reusing. Every wastewater that comes out, there is an opportunity to treat and take it to next level. And every product that we are going to bring in is going to save lot of these wastages that are already happening in the system. So with these things, a great opportunity for everyone in this space. And this group and around me, actually, now after my retirement from the business, actually, I have now started working with, as a mentor and also as an investor with various companies, and also I have taken a role to work for government of India as a member of parliament in policy making, so, and also law making. So very clearly I have some deliverables I kept. And this is what I have told when I went there with the Prime Minister. I told that I am going to work in these 3 areas. Certainly, the industrial, environmental and waste management solutions, urban waste management and environmental solutions, environmental rules and regulations. So, in fact, all of us, every stakeholder here around governance, we must know the rules. The best of the rules that we have to follow and what is happening around that. Again, if you go and see there, a huge opportunity because the rules are not clearly adhered to at most of the places. So that itself brings in a great opportunity how to fix that. And also in line with the best of the European and US regulations, how, the environmental rules of India have to further shape up. So in those areas also, every startup around ESG, I must tell you that should focus on understanding the rules and regulations, understanding the needs and what is the current situation, and around that how you can build your business. I think a huge opportunity. And I can tell you, we are here, in Hyderabad, just a few meters away from this building, a huge knowledge and expertise and experienced team. And I am myself a civil and environmental engineer for 4 decades of experience. And we have seen, what India can provide sustainable solutions to the developing nations globally. So with that, actually, I want to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity. I'm here to take any questions from any of you. And also, after this meeting, also available to spend time with you people. Thank you very much to HYSEA, THub, and all my friends here for giving me this opportunity to share a few of my thoughts. Thank you.
I should have mentioned this. In fact, when our team went to invite him, he said he will be interested in being there through the program so that he gets the opportunity to interact. So all of you should take this opportunity. And the message is loud and clear that it's the right time. Get your domain knowledge right, have the right skill set and the attitude, and now is the time to build a techno-economically viable solution. On that note, thank you very much for your time. So we just have a small memory that we want you to take back from HYSEA and THub, so that the momento you can think about both of us and the startups. Can I invite the managing committee and the executive committee members of HYSEA to come on stage? Ramakrishna Lingireddy, the General Secretary, HYSEA and President AuroProSoft, Prashant Nandela, Vice President, Kishore Bora, Bipin. So Bipin and Prashant, I'll get an opportunity to introduce you again. So, is there anyone here that from THub? MSR Garu, you want somebody else join here? Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you. We'll start with the next segment of the session. So another star segment of the day, which is much awaited. So this is going to be the starting of the panel discussion. I want to set a little bit of a background to this. To craft some meaningful conversations, we have conducted a survey like Kishore had said. We have reached out to corporates, including reality developers, property management consultants, NGOs in the sustainability space to understand what are their areas of priority. We were just not looking at putting together a panel discussion, but instead we wanted to have discussions that make sense to both the corporates and the startups. So the discussions now are going to be centered around the focus areas that we got as a feedback. Can we have the, yes, thank you. So these are going to be the spotlight areas that we will be having conversations on now. Now, there's a little bit that I want to tell about how this panel discussion is slightly different from the normal panel discussions that we have seen. When we reached out to the startups, the first question that the startups asked us is, do we have to pitch? So that's where we wanted to eliminate that pitch and the stress factor. So we said, no, this is not going to be a pitch, but you are going to be involved in a conversation with the corporates on stage. So this is going to be relaxed, stress-free environment. So that's the differentiating factor for the Catalyst panel discussion. So to make sure that we have the right conversations, we also did a little bit of homework in curating the startups that are going to be a part of the panel here. This doesn't mean, like Kishore said, that the others are not something that they should be here, but in a relative game, we felt we will be able to have a meaningful conversations with the startups that are going to be here now. So you can also see the kind of criteria that we have taken up while we curated. Now this, Bipin was very clear that we should inform this to the startups who have all applied so that they understand, they also introspect to see, for future what they could do better. So on that note, I invite panel 1 to please come on stage. Prashant Nandela, President and COO First Source, Vice President HYSEA, ESG Intervention Leader, and the moderator for panel 1. So we have 2 panel discussions actually. For ease of conversation and giving an opportunity for all these startups, we are doing 2 panels. Each panel will last for 45 minutes, where 20 minutes is exclusively catered for conversations. So the first panel, may I invite Dr. Prafulla Agarwal, Founder CEO, Tokera, please. Indrajit Shah, India ESG Lead, CBRE. Shiva Tekumudi, Founder and CEO, Facilizens. Mahesh Siripurapu, Founder and Managing Director, Nida Green Energy. Anubhav Saxena, DGM, ESG and Sustainability, Decarbonization Data Analytics from Raheja Group. Abdul Karim, Operations Executive, Bio Reform. And over to you, Prashant. Prashant, for convenience, would you like to sit here?
Yeah, I think I'll do that. That's what I was thinking.
So if you
So it's
don't
probably
mind.
easier.
Yes, yes. In fact, we orchestrated this also.
You do? Sorry. Thank you, Shanti. It's been great to be here. An honor to facilitate. Come on, come. You didn't call Mal? Yeah. This pen, yeah.
I'm so sorry, Dr. Mal.
We'll get it. Sorry, why don't you
should sit here.
I'll stand. Come.
Yes.
Sequence of extra.
How did I miss it? Dr. Merle Fernandez is Director, LVPEI. I'm sorry about it. I did not mean any offense. No. You were very much in this panel.
Thank you, Shanti. It's a great honor to be here. Thank you for all the participants in this room. Ram Reddy Garu for your presence here, MSR and the entire team, and all the team who's worked together tirelessly over the last 2 weeks to sort of curate this program, get this to where it is. I'm honored to be here to sort of spend some time. The way we'll go to do this is to sort of, I want to take a few minutes to bring in all of y'all to this conversation and spend a few minutes in this interesting topic in terms of what are we trying to do from either solid waste management, clean energy, net neutrality, carbon credits. How do you sort of work together to drive a sustainable environment for future? With that in mind, I wanted to take a minute to sort of, the guests are already invited and we know who are here, but I'll go round robin to sort of, get your insight into the conversation. Dr. Prafulla, you've been here from a startup ecosystem, and you sort of had a couple of use cases that you've been dealing with to convert brown energy to green energy, and aspects around carbon trading and how you can get energy neutrality in the organization. So, while I go round robin, I wanted to get your sense in terms of this tech solution that you built through the blockchain, distributed ledger technology, and how you're using it to sort of drive this globally. It'll be nice to get a sense from you, your mission, your passion, and why this idea, and how do you feel that it's going to make a difference to our work environments?
Okay, good evening, everybody. I think on the first note I would like to start is thank you, Ram Reddy Garu. You've made a very nice statement that unless we don't have a business experience working as a corporate, as an employee, how do we make sure our startup really aligns to what we bring to the table? I'm a very standout product every time I walk into any startup ecosystems. They look at me, am I brought my daughter or my son, because I don't look the 20 plus you're all a lot of startup owners here. So thank you for recognizing my startup. And at 50, I'm as young as any new college graduate is. What I'm passionate about. Thank you. What I'm passionate about, and I think you can see Tokri, and it's a green heart that's beating. That's what we want to communicate, because sustainability, environment is not only a corporation's responsibility. Every community, each one of us have to make a difference. That's what propelled us, and that's what propelled my startup to say, let's kind of create a grassroots level momentum to adopt clean energy. Now, how do we do that? And that's what we're solving using blockchain technology, where we're able to fractionalize renewable energy and various attributes that it has, like your energy credits, which individual households can adopt, which you can do it for your societies, for your offices, for your events, for your birthday parties, for your team events. Anywhere you can adopt it. There's a question that I always face is, but the credit is an offset, so it doesn't sound too good. But let me just say this, we all live in cities like Hyderabad. I'm coming from Bangalore. We get drowned and marooned every year these days. And we do not think twice if that coracle which has come to take me to a safe place, is it made of the global standards of fiber and all that? Any coracle to get us out is welcome at that stage. Environmentally, that's where we are today. So what we are doing is working across the value chain of renewable energy. We are in discussions at the DISCOM levels to say, what they procure as a renewable energy as mandatory obligations, start creating an identity for it so that that renewable energy can be still delivered in the hands of end users. So it can be at a cost, I'm not getting into the commercials there, but a blockchain allows that identity creation from generation to consumption. And that's going to revolutionize how each of us will consume renewable energy going forward. I'll end with a very small anecdote. When I was presenting this to the MSc forum in Uttar Pradesh, I had a small scale exporter from Moradabad who exports brass artifacts. He said, ma'am, if I do this, can my son write it in his personal statement as his environment contribution, because he's applying for universities in the US. So that's the kind of adoption that we're seeing. And we're making it very, very simple, not only for adoption, even for your proof. And while we use blockchain, that's at the back end. Let's not complicate it for end users. You see a QR code there. I have a permission from that client right now. You can just scan on it. It'll give you the proof where this particular organization is consuming its renewable energy from. So I will end on that note. Our vision is very simple. We want every heart to beat green. It's each one's responsibility. Adopt renewable energy directly or indirectly, it doesn't matter, because just because we want to only set up power plants, we're consuming a lot of our land, and that's not sustainable either. So let's not be tilted too much on one side, but take a holistic view. And all the best to all of us, that we leave this place a better place. And in conclusion, somebody asked me, this is a 20-25-year journey. When Maggie came, none of us liked that flavors. But today it's become a meal. When Kellogg's came, they said, we're not for this generation. So Tokri is not being built for just this generation. We're talking Tokri for the next 20 years. And that's our vision. Thank you.
Awesome. Brilliant, Doctor. So I'm assuming we can, today sitting here, can get access to convert our brown power to green power by tokenized solution, right?
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Maybe we should do that, right, at the end of this workshop, to show our commitment to green energy in terms of what we're doing from an organization standpoint. Brilliant. So just one thing teeing up from there before I go to the next panelist here is, this provides access globally. You're able to provide identity across global producers of green energy, or is it localized to India currently?
we're delivering that for global producers, distributors, and consumers. You could be
Brilliant.
anywhere in that cycle.
Awesome. That's good, right? So we don't need to use our land to produce. We can always consume from outside. Fantastic.
Absolutely not.
Fantastic. Thank you. Brilliant. Indrajit, over to you. You've been on this advisory space for a while, dabbling across a variety of things. So I wanted to get you in to get a sense on, as a consultant, talking to different stakeholders, working with a real estate company, talking to their clients, corporates, industries, policies. What's your sense on, the focus and the intent on carbon neutrality, carbon credits and net neutrality? Obviously, you have a larger perspective. And how does policy needs to change, sort of make sure that people are doing this, right? So when people talk to me, I said purpose is more important than anything. So obviously it all starts with us being very purposeful in terms of what we want to do and make sure that we're making this world a safer place to live in. Outside of that, there's a lot goes into, like Ram Reddy Garu said, in terms of policy, frameworks, awareness, willingness, access to sort of get this going. So what's your sense on how do we sort of step up from here and take a step change, what's an incremental change?
Thanks for that, Prashant. I'd just like to start off with a little bit of perspective about us as a country, right? We are already the most populous, and there was a report which said the real estate sector is going to overtake the agriculture sector in terms of being the largest employer in the country in the next few years. In India, we put out around 40 to 45 million square feet of real estate space every year. Now, what connects these different aspects is about magnitude. And this is what I would like to talk about, for the next couple of minutes, is when, all the startups out there, when you look at opportunity, okay, one thing to realize is if you are doing business in India, there is volume. So focus on understanding what are the gaps in this industry and how you can address those through technology, through human understanding, right? I'll give you some specific examples, right? Now, one of the things that, that I saw mentioned here, technologies around energy, water, and waste, right? One of the key challenges that we see in this industry is the fact that developers build, then they sell, right? And after they sell, the people who buy may not have the best understanding of how the building was built, how it is to be run, and how they need to repair it. So a huge opportunity is to look at the as-a-service model. Can you look at an opportunity where once the builders have built, there are models where they continue to share that information with the residents so that they can benefit from that understanding of the building. And in turn, the developers could actually look at IoT solutions, for example, to assess what is the level of wear and tear in the buildings and how they are to be maintained and charged for. Okay, I just wanted to give you this one example to show you that in one of the world's largest real estate markets, if you're able to bridge problems like this, this is what can really help us leapfrog into the future. In terms of what we are hearing from clients, right? All our clients want to be seen as industry leaders in the sustainability space, be it developers or be it occupiers. And the way to do that is to help them understand, because different clients will be on different parts of their sustainability journey in terms of maturity. So if you want to build solutions for either developers or occupiers in the real estate space, what you need to understand is where are they on their sustainability or ESG maturity journey? And then talk to these clients to understand what are their focus areas. That is where you'll realize that these are the gaps that you need to bridge. So start having these conversations on both sides of the table and try and assess where those gaps are. That's the message that I would like to leave you with, and start thinking upstream. A lot of the solutions that we see in energy, in water, in waste are downstream solutions. We have created systems, we have created problems, and then we are trying to mitigate those problems. Can you think upstream before those problems are created? When we are building the buildings, when we are thinking of occupying those buildings, can we move those conversations upstream so that we don't make the mistakes in the first place? That's what I would like to leave this audience with. Over to you, Prashant.
Thank you. That's very insightful, as always. So what's your thought, right? And you obviously help advise organizations in taking spaces, leasing spaces, maintaining spaces, project management. How much of change management is still to be left to sort of make sure that people really believe in this and want to spend that extra buck at the beginning from a CapEx versus OpEx? Because if you fix it at a CapEx level, then you solve the variability at an OpEx level, right? People have to work through, and maybe there are ideas and thoughts there where we can find a differentiated commercial ecosystem that startups can work with to make that feasible. But what's your sense on that?
Well, to be very honest, we see a gamut of clients, and as I mentioned, on different parts of the journey. So you would have very mature clients who have done all the things that we talk about, in terms of doing low-cost, no-cost initiatives, doing CapEx-based initiatives. If I take energy as an example, right, they would have done the baselining of the data. They would have identified what are the specific geographies that they want to look at. Within those geographies, what are the specific sites? In those sites, what are the specific initiatives? In those initiatives, energy, water, and waste, and then use that data to feed into where they want to be versus where they are and how much that is changing. So that's one end of the spectrum, right? On the other end of the spectrum, you've got companies who may have been in business, and there are variations of this, but just as a typical example, who may have been in business for a long time. But sustainability has not really been their focus for various reasons, right? Now, it's not to blame them, but it is to work with those companies then to help them understand how, while they are doing what they are doing, how can sustainability be incorporated into their business? And, these are often conversations which take time, right? Because one of the key things that I've realized in my career, as a sustainability professional, is this needs to be driven top-down, especially in corporations. If you want business, if you want buy-in for ESG, you need to make sure that the top guy is on your side. And that's where a lot of our conversations start, and where we start with small examples, with easy wins, because a lot of people understand when you see a tangible outcome. Right? So if you can show proof of concepts, around whatever business you are in, that is going to help the client understand in real terms, especially for clients who are early on in the maturity curve, what is in it for them from a business perspective and then from a social perspective. When I was doing my master's, one of my professors said something very, very interesting. He said, nobody buys a mobile phone because it's green. So please keep this in mind when you're designing your products and services. Yes, people want to be sustainable, but it needs to make sense from a commercial, technical perspective.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll move on to Seva now, the startup from the organization, from Facilians. So just to this topic that, Indrajit and I were sparring a bit, you sort of build something in the downstream process to sort of look at how to optimize to data analytics and insight and technology. So give us your sense on what drove you to think about this idea, and how tech playing a role in sort of running the building operations in your construct. And what are some thoughts from your standpoint of what's getting you going in that space?
Thank you. And good evening to everybody, and then, thanks to HYSEA to having me over here. And my name is Shiva. I'm a founder and then a CEO of the company. So we are in the business of, automating commercial real estate space in terms of facilities management, and then, energy and water and utility optimization. The decarbonization is kind of a natural extension to us. And if you really see that, the situation like, 40% of a commercial real estate space is responsible for 30% of the decarbonized, version. That's what, it is kind of, the more impact on the carbon, gases and all the things. With that, what happens is, I just wanted to, show you that how we have transformed from the, automation to the decarbonization. What we have found is because we've been in the industry more than 5-6 years almost. Thanks to thanks to Ram Reddy Garu, the first pilot we have done on the, Ramki Cosmos, sir. I think thanks to you. And then we have done for a 3 months pilot on that. It's been almost, 3 years backstory and all the things. And we are in the, kind of, keeping the sensors and getting the, tons of data and processing it, and then we literally make how to automate the entire facilities management by removing the papers and keeping the data into the picture, which is very challenging, because if you go down and sit with the basement of any huge 1 million square commercial real estate space, they have a day-to-day problems and they are least bothered about, sustainability. So you have a tough time to, push the sustainability story as a startup. And we need to literally sit with them and ask for what is their problems exactly. And their problems today is something like, how I can build the tenants. If I take a 1 million square feet having a 300 multiple office tenants, and then they have a day-to-day problem of raising an invoices, doing the bills and all the things. So we somehow gone there and then camped there. And then today we are managing more than 26 million square feet under our portfolio. That includes the major, portfolios like, Gaura Builders, and we have 2 big hospital portfolios like, Ankura, and then even all the things. So what I'm trying to say is like, it is not easy way to getting out there in Indian scenarios of a decarbonization unless until you solve the today's use case problem. So we out there. In fact, the CBRE is awarded as a cool, top 5, decarb company in the 3 years back. So I have a connection for almost. And Phoenix, Avan is the second pilot we have done, sir, in the Oracle building. And we are working with the Marvin facilities managers, which they are into the THub. So we have seen almost 200 different portfolios, all companies that includes the schools, hospitals, malls, facility management teams, and all those things. We have more than 500 million data points out there into my system. So now the challenge is how I can really utilize those points and create something out of it. That's what the Indian data analytics comes with. Facilities is our brand name. What we call it is the facilities intelligence. So now what we are trying to do is, can I overlay the entire data to the BIM, that is the building information module, which predominantly they use it at a entry level of the buildings. I'm talking so much on the tech, maybe I'm trying to generalize it. Building information system is the one which normally every builder going to use it. It stops there at the end of that before handing over. So we put all the operational data over there and then extend the life for the next 30 years. So overall, what we are trying to do is how we can measure and calculate a carbon emission per square feet with my data and give back to the builder, hey, can you reduce your, the sizability of your chiller, which is oversized today. That way we can help the builders. So we can say that facilities management, saying like it doesn't require to go and, do 5 things a day. You can do 3 times so that you can improve the productivity. So what happens is we are trying to connect multiple use cases of managing a large commercial buildings using a facility management software, but slowly getting there into the decarbonization. That's what we are trying to do there.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wish you all the best. It's a very noble cause. I think I saw somewhere in the presentation that you're going to take, while you do all of this from a sustainability objective, you're also going to take 20% cost out to managing facilities, right? It's a win-win. Commercially, it works for everybody. So good luck for your venture. So just shifting tracks to somebody who's sort of helping saving lives, creating a better life to individuals, working in LVPI, Dr. Mal. Obviously this is a vast institution which manages, I don't know how many thousands and lakhs of people on a daily basis. It's an institution in itself for good purpose, good cause. I know how they structure to sort of help provide free services to people who can't afford and all of that stuff. So clearly with this purpose that you have with research embedded, with services embedded, I wanted to get a sense on your sustainability objectives and how you think about sustainability and how you're implementing that in your space across all the facilities that you manage today.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to be here. So, LV Prasada Institute, as a lot of you may know, is a not-for-profit organization, and we are currently located in 284 centers across the 3 states of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Orissa, as well as a small, representation in Karnataka. So our start of, trying to achieve sustainability was some years ago when we started with solar energy. And we started off in a small way. We are a not-for-profit organization, as I mentioned. And so everything that we do, even whatever investments that we make, we have to, at the end of the day, look at how are we going to provide service to somebody who cannot afford it. And it was with a very conscious mind that we decided to take this forward. The effort actually took off. I currently lead the Green LVPI initiative in LVP, and that was about 2 years ago that we decided to go all out with a multi-pronged approach. So some of the things that we've started is investing in solar energy. To date, we've invested in about 1.5 megawatts of solar energy across our centers. I'll talk about the things that we've done and the challenges that we face. So when you look at solar energy, you realize that the amount of space that you have sometimes is a constraint. The government has got certain restrictions on the amount of energy that it actually provides, that you can actually use for solar. So we can actually use only about 80%. And in certain areas which are huge energy guzzlers, like for example in our tertiary centers located in the metros, the amount of space that we have and the amount of investment that we have to make for solar to provide that much amount of coverage is challenging. The other things that we've done, we've looked at rainwater harvesting, we've looked at trying to utilize more efficient sources of air conditioning. We use STPs and treat the water wherever we can, though we would like better solutions for that. But some of the innovative things that we've done are in developing an indigenous electronic medical record, which has done away with paper records, that was developed in-house and is used across all our centers. So even in a small vision center, we have an electronic form of documentation, which also helps us in our research. And we are continuing to innovate in this area. During the pandemic, because of the fact that our patients couldn't reach us, nor could we reach out to them, we developed an indigenous teleophthalmology software, which enabled us to connect with our patients who could not reach us. And that is something that we have been using. So that helps indirectly by reducing the carbon footprint in the sense that the patient does not have to come to see us. Though obviously if you have an eye ailment, you can't actually get treated over a computer screen or a mobile phone. But then that's another aspect. So we've tried to reduce some of the, the visits that a patient has to make with the teleophthalmology that we've set up. And we're looking at, other ways where we can try and utilize solid waste. So we have biomedical waste segregation it's mandatory in all hospitals. But then for the organic waste that's being generated, so there are systems that are available. I'm sure I'll meet a lot of people out here who will help us with the organic waste. But to make it very simple, whatever gardens we have, all the dry leaf that we collect from there is put in a pit. This is going to sound very crude. Put in a pit layered with soil. And after a couple of weeks, we have our own manure. So we generate 2,000 tons of manure for our gardens every quarter. And that's used across the centers. So these are just some of the initiatives. There are other things that we do as well, but I'll spare you that.
Brilliant. Are there any ideas in your mind that you're still pursuing going forward? And any suggestions to the startup ecosystem here, what they should start looking at?
So I wish that the cost of solar per kilowatt was cheaper. I don't know how we can bring that down. It would be really fantastic if we could get it. Within the state itself, if you have land and you can generate solar on that space, the government doesn't actually allow you to, use it somewhere else. So, then there are batteries which are very expensive. So if the cost of those batteries could come down, that would help us a great deal. But those are just some of the things.
No, thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Going back to our next startup, wanted to get a perspective from Mahesh. Mahesh, we've been talking in Digit a little bit, and he said, we have to go more upstream than downstream. So clearly we know that tons of plastics is generated every day, every year. A lot of it never gets collected. It goes and pollutes our environment and nature. And you sort of looking at creating alternate sources of packaging that people can use to sort of drive things. So I wanted to bring you in to get your perspective of what's the mission of what you're trying to do, and how do you see you playing into creating a better sustainable future for us going forward?
Sure. Thanks, Prashant, and good evening, everybody. And thank you, HYSEA, for inviting us here and making green energy and waste management a prime focus. So we are NIDA Green Energy, started in 2016, and our team of technocrats, and our first product was oxyhydrogen gas generator. And we wanted to generate oxyhydrogen and use that as supplementary fuel in internal combustion and external combustion machines. We succeeded to some extent, and because of capital intensiveness, we shifted our focus onto converting plastic waste into fuel. So one of the reasons being, when we approached an industry or looked into the waste that industry is generating, mainly the chair manufacturing industry, right? The waste that is produced was almost equivalent to talcum powder, the granularity of the particles. So those guys did not have a solution, and they were just throwing that in water bodies or landfills, which cannot be separated at all. So, and we wanted to bring a solution mainly for industrial plastic waste to convert it to something reusable. And we are not good advocates of traditional pyrolysis systems for some reason, because they generate a lot of flue gases and heat into the environment. So we came up with a zero discharge closed loop batch process system in 2016, and started converting industrial plastic waste into reusable fuels like synthetic diesel, synthetic petrol, and synthetic kerosene. And we worked with few corporates to set up captive plants for them. And 2021, we shifted our focus onto continuous process system, because we always wanted to come out of batch process systems. And we succeeded big time in developing our own design in building a continuous process. Loop back means we generate our own fuel, which is consumed in the technology. So the production cost currently to produce 1 liter industrial oil from plastic waste is very, very less, almost 50% of what we get in the market. So we succeeded doing that. And the main product currently is industry oil that we are generating from both plastics from municipal solid waste and also industrial waste. And based on the applications, we also can use distillation techniques to convert industrial oil to high value products like transport grade fuels, N-octane, N-hexane, etc. So that is what we are doing. We have been vetted by many corporates like mainly cement industries, Birla, Dalmia, and many country executives and political authorities from different countries visited our plants, and then we could successfully present the technology and acquire some letter of intents. So that is what we are doing currently. And to answer to Prashant's question, what is the vision, right? We see somewhere being a big contributor to sustainability goals of India 2030 in reducing the carbon footprint. So that is a goal that we are working towards.
Brilliant. Thank you. Wish you all the best for your lecture.
Thank you, Prashant.
So now, bringing up Abhinav, you've been with HYSEA. It's a large developer across multiple cities, and you run the sustainability and decarbonization program. Talk to you a little bit about how you're thinking about this, and how can the real estate space sort of be the lead anchor to sort of show the path that we really care about our environment and building something which is helping us for the future. Give some thoughts on that before I switch on to our next colleague.
Yeah. So we started the sustainability journey way back in 2008, in which we considered our first green certified building in. Currently also we are having very aggressive ESG targets, like scope 1, scope 2 need to be reduced by 42%. We are also under the process of disclosing the target for the net zero approximately by 2043 we are aiming to be a net zero. But in order to go for net zero, one has to take care of all the three emissions: scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. We are currently doing fine in terms of scope 1 and scope 2, and approximately currently 16% of our energy is coming from the green sources, green power. But when we go further, that we want to become exceed more than 30-35%, we need to look on the scope 3 emissions. Scope 3 emissions currently, as a real estate developer, is one of the biggest challenge, I would say. First important challenge is the supply chain. A very complicated supply chain, you must be knowing, that the real estate companies are having. How to educate the entire supply chain in terms of ESG, that's another challenge. Then the next is waste. Waste is also one of the major challenges that we are facing right now. Good thing is that we have already banned the single use of plastic. We are, in some of the campuses are having bottling plants in which we are replacing the entire use of the plastic bottle with our own glass bottles. Then we are exploring further methods, how can we optimize and reduce the waste. Then another major issue related to scope 3 is the tenant energy consumption. That it will look like that why developers are not making green spaces and all those things. We are making like green spaces since last 15 years, but another important aspect we want to understand is the end client who is going to occupy that space, whether they are ready for the new technologies, whether they are accepting the green solutions. Sometimes, just like for the green power, if we want to reduce our scope 3 emission, we also need to depend on the green power. So tenants also need to go on the green power. Currently, you must be knowing that green power tariff is one of the easy way, in which the tenants also need to agree to pay additional money on the green tariff. But the fact is that hardly 10% of our tenants are getting ready for the green power tariff. So that is why we are encouraging the tenants to go into the green lease, in which we can clear all those things from the day one. So cultural behavior and cultural change is also important. Like sometimes the tenants are demanding platinum and very energy efficient solution, but they want to keep their AC temperature as 21 or 22 degrees centigrade. That can't be possible. So one way we are demanding green and simple solutions, they are not getting agreed to. They are just by their sales agreement or sales team document sheet. They have to do this much demand. In one way you are demanding everything green, but other day you are demanding also the demand load in such high value. So developer is which you are demanding, which you are going to build. So we also want to make further energy efficient offices, energy efficient solutions. So what we are trying to do right now, we are trying to develop a small experience centers or the small setups at every campus level, in which we can explore the innovative products. Otherwise, our tenants will not go directly to the innovative products or solution. So they will first like to experience those products. So that is why we are now in the process of creating such experience centers in which we can showcase these products will work in the large scale development. Then we are going further ahead for the implementing of those strategies.
Brilliant. Creating experience centers, awareness, so people can actually live by what they want to achieve is very important. Thank you, Abhinav, for your thoughts. So while I go to my next panelist, if there are any questions, please pass on to Radhika. She's going to capture that and probably bring it on board just to save some time, because we have another panel right after this. Yeah, thank you. So, going, it was very informative, right? So now to another solid waste management idea that's come out, right? Abdul Karim and his young entrepreneurs who are doing something really fantastic in this space. So talk a little bit about how you're thinking about your journey. I know you're trying to do something really cool in this space, but what's your business plan like, and how do you think you're going to make a difference? What help do you need to sort of get there, right? Give us a little bit of sense of your journey so far, your obstacles, how you sort of navigated them, what help can the industry at large and corporation at large and policy at large can help you to be successful?
Thank you, Prashant, for that. Firstly, it was really inspiring to hear from Rami Reddy sir today. His words were really inspiring for us as a startup. And I'm really proud to be here and with the panel here talking with everyone. Being the youngest to be a part here. Certainly when we started our journey, it was with the vision of the Prime Minister. We heard him keeping the agenda for India, for making India plastic free for the year 2025. And that's where our team thought about how we as an individual, how we as a citizen of this country come forward and take this mission forward. That's the idea, and it's been 1.5 years, touching 2 years soon now. We started Bioreform. It's a manufacturing company. We manufacture bags which are made of corn, which were directly the alternative towards the plastic that we see around. So far, we can proudly say that we have replaced 50 lakh plus plastic bags with our greenie bags. We produce more than 1 lakh greenie bags each day and have climbed significantly into the B2B market. Whether it was, the small district of Andhra Pradesh till the most famous cafe of Hyderabad, or whether it was G Polarity, one of the oldest places in the market, to Country Chicken, who've started very early. So we've met a lot of people who were having the same vision of taking sustainability forward. While in addressing people, we heard from people telling that sustainability is not just it's not just an option what we see today, but it's more likely being a necessity of the hour that comes in forward. Being student entrepreneurs, we had a lot of challenges coming forward, whether it was addressing the market, whether it was dealing with how the clients would look it forward for. But eventually things ended up being on the route wherein we had the vision clear about making India plastic free. And ever since when we turn back behind, wherein that day when the inauguration happened and then being here, it surprises me as a person itself that we've made it happen so far. But there was one quote that hit my mind that was there. That you never realize the worth of water until the well starts drying. So we also never get to understand truly just how sustainability is important for us until we get the most exposure about how the darkness that could eventually come up with. Noticing about corporates, one thing we saw is how the changes have started to come. We see that the companies have started adapting sustainable products when it comes to their companies. We've seen wood or bamboo being utilized as cutleries have been seen around. But we see there's a slow drop of plastics being utilized, the conventional plastic, right? We found out in our survey what we made that even a small company of, let's say, 50 size employee generate as much as 3,000 bags each month. And when you would want to take it forward and look for the bigger corporates, could reach up to 1.5 million bags each month. And that's certainly an alarm and a point that let us realize as a players that the market's big, the vision is even bigger than that, right? People greater than products, greater than price is something that drives us truly, and taking the mission not just with India, not just the consumer market in India, but taking it forward to the globe, because we definitely would want to curate this example from made in India but for the globe is what the Prime Minister said. And truly to remark that point, we are looking forward for the most influential collaborations with people, because the experience that you get with everyone here is something that truly not just defines what we want to do in life, what we want to do for India more importantly, but how we could maybe create the best solution that is originating from India. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. That's very inspiring, and good luck for your venture of being a global player. Obviously, not just helping solve India's problem, but creating employment for tons of people. I appreciate that. So before, it was a good conversation, got in different perspectives. I had a few questions come up from the audience, so I thought I'll take the liberty to sort of talk to a few. One question is sort of about, are there any real estate developers in India who are interested to have upstream conversations to tackle the ESG performance initiatives, right, rather than working downstream? So maybe some thoughts, Indrajit, from you or Abhinav?
Let me be very honest. Upstream conversations are not easy, right? because we as a society, and I dare say as a globe, we are used to doing things a certain way, and then when we find problems, finding solutions for that. What we are now discussing about upstream is about changing mindsets. And I'll take a cue from what Anubhav said earlier, is people want everything at the cost of nothing. And that's a difficult conversation. So what you need to do is try and understand what the pain point is and what the customer is willing to pay for it. Okay. Now, that's not a straight answer to your question, but possibly the only way you'll find out is by talking to clients. We are finding clients of late, developers who are willing to have some of these conversations. So, if that's some solace, then yes, there are opportunities that are opening up, but you'll only find out the level of interest when you start speaking to these clients.
Just want to add, this good thing is that the government is taking good initiatives. That you all must be knowing that all the listed companies, top 1,000 listed companies, has to disclose now BRSR report, Business Responsibility Sustainability Report. In one of that, now the next year it will go into a BRSR core. Under that, they have put they are putting more focus towards on the supply chain. So due to which the developer like us started now more interaction with our supply chain, supply vendors, and doing the regular exercise with our suppliers. We have made one supplier code of conduct, and like us, all the other leading developer who are into these top 50 or top 250 companies or top 1,000 companies, they are trying to educate the supply chain. So right now it's a good time because recently this change has been started. Now from next year onwards, by default, all the top 10,000 companies have to go with via the BRSR route, in which they have to start talking to their supply chain. So this is a very correct time in which if you want to enter into the business, because right now we are regularly discussing with the key suppliers, critical suppliers, the problem with the developers like us, how to categorize these vendors, how to categorize these suppliers. So we started first categorizing them in terms of tier 1 suppliers, tier 2 suppliers, tier 3 suppliers, critical suppliers. Then we try to bring these critical suppliers into a single room and educate them in terms of ESG. How can they, so we are giving them, like the government is giving us the target for the scope 3 emission, we also giving them the target to reduce their emissions reduction. So it's just balancing our target to them.
Just adding to what Anubhav said, when you talk about scope 3, right, scope 3 has 15 categories, right? 7 upstream and 8 downstream. So what you should be looking at is within scope 3, what are the specific categories that you want to look at? Now typically supply chain would be looking at scope 3.1, which is, procured goods and services. Okay, so maybe you would want to look at that and see how you can find out solutions, technological solutions based on data to identify these different kinds of suppliers. Now that could be a potential opportunity for you. You could also be looking at commute, both employee commute and business commute, which is again within scope 3. So there could be opportunities for you to look at and see how you can upstream the solution and therefore the problem addressing, right? So when companies are deciding on employee commute options, okay, yes, you want EV, but are there more efficient ways to address it at a design stage where the office is located? What kind of people you're hiring and where do they stay? Okay, all of this, the basis of this is data. So think about these aspects and see how you can address some of these challenges, and then start talking to real companies to understand their level of willingness to share the data with you. Now, yes, data is important, but are companies willing to share? Are there other ways to get the data? Are there public data sets that you could use? So these are some of the areas that you need to be thinking about to understand how you can design solutions which are fit for purpose for the clients that you're looking at.
Thank you. That was, there's another question, but we'll take it up after the second panel. But thank you all. It's been very informative, very useful for me. Opened up my eyes to new things. Hopefully it was useful for everybody. Good luck to all the startups. And as corporates, I think I have some ideas to take back and see how we can internalize some of these findings. Thank you all.
Thank you, Prashad. Can I request Bipin Chandra, Senior Director and General Manager, India, Appen, and Kishore Bora, Managing Director, Energy Tech, and Prashant to do the honors to our panel, please. So we have a few certificates that we thought will give as memory to the startups, and some mementos to the panel who've been here, who's taken time. Prashant, let's do it. Prashant. Dr. Prafulla Agarwal. Startup. Yes, that's the one. That's it. Tokera. Yes. Indrajit Shah. Bipin Kena. Shiva Tekumudi, the founder of Facilizens. Dr. Merle. Anubhav Saxena. This is
Anubhav.
Okay, thank you.
Anubhav. It's okay.
Abdul Kareem, Bioreform. Yes, no. Mahesh from Nida Grain. We covered everyone? I hope we covered everyone. Let's take one picture. Shiva's? Bipin will give this and we'll settle it later. It's for the photo op. Can I have the panel here? We'll take a quick picture and then. We give this. With this, we move on to the next panel. The next panel is again going to be addressing the same focus areas. And this panel we have Bipin Pendyala, Senior Director and General Manager, India, Appen, moderate the session. Hitesh Hiran, Co-Founder and Director, Greenifit. Arun Murugesh, Vice President, Sales and Marketing, Sahas Zero Waste. N. Chandrasekhar, Founder, Director, Jivol Biofuels. Rohit, Founder and CEO, Zodia. Vivek Verma, Strategic Advisor and Venture Partner, Silver Needle Ventures. Ganges Reddy, MD and CEO, Blue Drop and VRAW. Shrikant Badiga, Group Director, Phoenix Group.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And thank you very much for the...
Bipin, just a moment, sorry. The first panel, can I meet you all in the lobby there, please?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So we again have a set of accomplished corporate leaders and accomplished startup entrepreneurs as well. One interesting thing that we've seen when we're doing this event planning is and curating is that we do actually have, while we're calling them as startups, the reality is that each one of them have actually established themselves in a reasonably decent fashion and in a sweet spot. So what I'd like to do is that the data that they presented to us for the curation process and the areas that they're operating in, I would like to bring out some of the essence more through a dialogue, right? So let me start with Hiten, right? Hiten's company is actually in a very interesting space where I felt Hiten. Not only are they looking at carbon credits, right, which is in some sense carbon credits is nice, because I can show my balance sheet to the corporate saying that I'm net zero carbon neutral. But the reality is that I'm actually not carbon neutral, I'm actually buying. I'm paying for it, right? So Hiten's company actually has gone the next step, which is where they're able to create a framework where the corporates can constantly review, assess, understand what their carbon footprint is. Not only buying carbon credits, but actually kind of constantly monitor, track, and reduce. So Hiten, I'd like to understand, when you do talk to corporates, right? There is probably higher tendency for people to just buy the credits. It looks nice on the balance sheet. But how much is the traction you're getting when people are serious about actually reducing the carbon footprint? What has been your take so far in terms of your conversations with your customers, and how much of a mind shift change are you seeing?
Thank you. So I would just like to touch the topic differently. So carbon credits comes at the last, because now it is a voluntary market and it is not enforceable that you should buy the carbon credits, and value is not that much. Okay. The point is that we all are concerned about saving the environment. We all wish to contribute to environment and reduce the carbon emissions that we have. However, what my journey in the 10 years plus in this industry that we have seen, exactly what you pointed out, how much serious the companies are. If we see around, we all know, we talk about climate change, etc., but the real adoption level is very low. And one of the major reasons is what I believe, and from my experience working in industry, is that as a human tendency, if there is something which has no monetary or strategic incentives aligned with whatever the actions that we take, then anything we tend not to be serious about to pursue it or commit to it, this besides just a vocal support. And this is exactly where, if we make a change, and what we try to explain to the companies is that climate solution can be a investable market. It's an investable assets. And I'll just cite an example of one of my assignment as a consultant for ADB. I had the opportunity to meet many industries in the Rajasthan. 70 plus association and industries, I had interviewed them. And I've seen many companies getting closed down because of NGT ruling of effluent treatment plant not being given to that. Balotra 800 plus industries was closed down. I had opportunity to see Ramki Group's one of the initiatives for one association where it was working fantastically well in Udaipur region. And that is in 2015 I was talking about. But if you see the cost of getting the business closed down, many business losing, okay, that is a cost. So now if you see that the climate solution is seen to be from the decarbonization as an investable market, there adoption becomes very easy. So this is where Granifit has born to help people, society, organizations to embark the journey of decarbonization in a profitable manner and in a responsible manner. And this is what our journey, we did the pilot, and now we are getting a good traction. We are currently managing a distributed, Granifit is a distributed climate solution platform. Currently we are managing a distributed climate asset under management of 11 crore and above, and generating revenue worth 3 crore last year. So this testimony to that, okay, there is a people are becoming aware about it. And it is not only the companies, because if you see the companies like to allocate the resources very carefully. Financial, because the major problem with the climate solution is the capital intensive nature. So one of the model that Ramki Group has pioneered is public-private partnerships. There are other models of asset-light solution, private-private partnerships, something that can be done. And this is where sharing of carbon credit, the sharing of the savings can be done. So it is a win-win for all. And this is where we've seen in the recent months that the people are started accepting these climate assets as an alternate investment asset class. And
sorry to interrupt you. On that thought, something came to my mind. See, for example, till recent past, right? Until the government of India made CSR 2% of profits is mandatory, it was not a topic that was discussed in the boardrooms, except for some of the really large philanthropic founder-led companies. So from your experience, do you think if a regulatory framework is brought in where the government mandates that probably a certain percentage of your profit needs to go plowed back into investment on the green side, do you think that will encourage and create a larger flip in terms of the Go Green initiatives in the corporate world?
So that is the one which would be, and I think CSR mandate is already including the sustainability and environment field. We are doing one for Pidilite industry, implementing a solution for a hospital through their CSR fund for solar and making it asset light. We have done the similar for education institution run by Birlas. We have done the longest contract for them. The point here is that one is the regulatory interventions, that is the one side, but the larger impact will come if I tell you, you invest into the solar, though let's say as a scope to emissions mitigation, and or don't invest into solar yourself, but invest into someone else's project. You get the carbon credits, you reduce your cost of electricity, you need not pay extra certain amount to DISCOM or your grid to become a green tech. You can still become a green tech. And as Dr. said in a previous panel, there is a limitation. Every state has how much electricity you can consume through solar when you are consuming directly. But when you're going to embark the journey of the greener investment through CSR, through any other means, okay, there is no limit on how much energy you can buy. That is indirect manner of doing it. And this is what we are trying to enable for companies to embark on a journey, mitigate the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 reduction directly or indirectly.
Got it. Thank you very much. I'll move to you, Arun. You know, you're working on what is called a zero waste, right? But in a practical sense, is zero waste even is it a theoretical concept, or is actually practically possible for a household or a community or a company or a larger industry segment to actually shoot for zero waste? And if so, what has been your experience in terms of building towards or marching towards a zero waste opportunity?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. I think the word zero waste is definitely possible. When we say zero waste, it truly does not mean 100% recovery. Even 95% recovery can lead to zero waste. So where we're coming from is, as a waste management organization, been working in this space for more than a decade now, we've actually experimented very fundamentally strong models like decentralized models. Decentralized models works very well in India. And when we say decentralized, for example, the waste coming out of this campus can be solved within this campus itself. It's very possible. How do we do this? First and foremost, fundamental, there's a nice tagline here. Once you mix it, you can't fix it. So let's say the organic waste and the inorganic waste is mixed in one bin. You can't do anything about it. It's not recoverable. But then when you follow the fundamentals of segregation at source, you can actually keep it aside. Now the organic waste can become compost, biogas, etc. The inorganic waste can actually be recovered. As less as 5%, we've shown this through data, as less as 5% can actually go to landfill. And that's very truly moving into the zero waste space. So as a concept, we know decentralized works. And while we are doing this, I think just to add another layer onto just the traditional waste management that we're talking about, there's also another aspect around how well are we doing it? Zero waste is fine. How better can we do this further? So for instance, let's talk about compliances, be it labor compliances, social security benefits. We're talking about environmental compliances. So that's the next level as we go further. So like we heard on the earlier panel, ESG is no more, it's more like a vanilla version. You now have standards like BRSR, which is taking it to the next level. So zero waste as well can be taken to the next level. We've proven this. We have multiple models on the ground as well. Entrepreneurship as well is definitely something that can come up through the space because we need a services industry. Waste management is as simple as a housekeeping equivalent. The facility management companies as a service is provided for various institutions or campuses. Waste management also can be.
But Arun, one quick sort of segue into that. Like you rightly said, waste itself is not homogeneous, right? It's pretty heterogeneous. And therefore, for you to be able to help your customers march towards a zero waste, right? How big an ecosystem do you need, and how many kind of logistics or supply chains that you have to work with in terms of partnerships, and how strong is the partnership required versus a single entity trying to say we can get to zero waste?
I think the key here is ecosystem. It's actually quite a complex ecosystem. When you look at the supply chain, waste can sound very simple, but then it can be as complicated as getting into hundreds of categories that comes out of one bin. So one bin of dry waste or inorganic waste that you see out here is actually the source of waste, right? So the entire supply chain that exists from, if you follow the life cycle of waste, it goes from here, it goes to a center, a collection center. From there, it goes to a larger, like a Ramki typically runs, like a materials recovery facility, which is more like a factory for waste management. From there, you probably have 50 categories. So the waste in one bin separates into 50 categories. Further, it goes to value creation centers where you take plastics, for example. Plastics are of two types, right? We know rigids and flexibles. We didn't know that rigid plastics and the plastic covers, the two categories, can further be sorted into as many as 100 categories. So you can see the large tree that is growing out of one bin, and it's growing into hundreds of categories. So I would say it's an ecosystem which is categorized as upstream and downstream. Upstream, you also have the informal sector, the waste pickers, the kabadiwalas, the aggregators, and all the way downstream you have recyclers. It could be paper, it could be metal, it could be any category. And furthermore, to close the loop with circular economy, you really want to bring that back into the loop. So now you see you're actually extending the reverse logistics and combining it with forward logistics. I would say it's a very complex ecosystem, and there is too much room for as many entrepreneurs in this space as well.
Wonderful, and thank you. I'll come back and circle on one. I'll move to Chandrasekhar, because it's a nice segue that we talked about zero waste, and I know your company has been very focused in terms of converting organic waste into biofuels, right? So interestingly, when you talk about organic waste to biofuels, and each one of us look at a tremendous amount of organic waste every day. You look at any of the tech campus that we are around, by the end of 3 p.m. in the afternoon, the cafeteria has a humongous amount of organic waste, right? You look at any Raitu Bazaru in the city, or you look at any of the weekly vegetable markets that are there in various areas, the next day morning, GHMC is trying to clear out, I don't know, maybe hundreds of kgs of rotten vegetables or thrown away vegetables and fruits, right? So in terms of, okay, let me just step back and say, for you, getting your input should not be a problem because there's too much input available. So I think the problem is, how are you ensuring that you are able to track the inputs and then convert the fuel into fuel, and then who are your consumers? So where do you sell it?
Yeah, thank you, Vivin Garu. So I want to quickly introduce first myself. I'm Chandrasekhar, founder of Jewel Biofuels. Thank you, HYSEA, THub, for this opportunity. And I'm very fortunate to listen from pioneer in waste management, Ram Reddy Garu, to listen his story. It's a great inspiration for entrepreneurs like us. So, yeah, coming back onto the problem that my startup is solving, we are based out of Hyderabad. So, organic waste is a big problem. It's a big problem. If food waste is considered as a country, it is the third largest emissions of carbon. So that is a big problem, coming from food waste. If food waste ends up in landfills, it releases methane emissions. And the methane is very dangerous than the carbon dioxide gas. So even in our country, out of 60 million tons of municipal solid waste that is generated, 50% is food waste, organic waste. Right now, majority of that is ending up in landfills. And in landfill, it releases methane emissions. So recently, whether it is in New Delhi or whether it is in Kochi, the landfill had a fire problem. Why is that? Because methane is a flammable gas and it causes a lot of fire. So it's a very, very big problem because 50% is food waste. But because of lack of awareness and lack of business models available, or lack of policy, biofuel policy not there, till now, all this waste is ended up in landfills. But now, Government of India has launched biofuel policy. With that, the business model is being developed. and we can generate biofuel, and the biofuel can be consumed as a transport fuel. So like example, CNG is there, which is a fossil fuel source. Instead of CNG, which is, by the way, we are importing that. That's again, foreign exchange loss is there, energy security issue is also there. Instead, this 30 million ton can be converted into biofuel. It will reduce our, fossil fuel imports and also save foreign exchanges. So luckily the government is promoting this. They are facilitating this. We are trying to build up our first biofuel plant here in Hyderabad. And we will sell this gas to City Gas Distribution Company in Hyderabad, which is Bhaginagar Gas Limited. Even private industries are looking for these fossil fuels so that they can decarbonize their operations. So that is the extent of the problem we are trying to solve with biofuel generation.
Thank you, Chandrasekhar. I'll come back to you again. Moving to Srikanth, you are part of the Phoenix Group, which is one of the largest commercial real estate player in Hyderabad. Right? We talked about zero waste. We talked about solar to clean energy to carbon credits, and then of course an organic waste and whatnot. And you have built multiple large IT campuses. Right? So as a Phoenix Group, what is that you've been doing, and not only that, but also what are the challenges that are still out there for you to tackle?
Yeah, thank you, Bipin, and thank you, HYSEA, for giving me the opportunity. And most importantly, first let me thank Ayodhya Ramreddy Garu for staying by for such a long time, and we can learn from that. Like, learning is a continuous process. He being a master of all these things, still want to listen from us. We are just, putting stuff. Coming back to the topic, Bipin, I would like to just go back and to mention that, it all started when we first started delivering one building. Initial days when my business development team was talking to one of the MNCs, they were talking how efficient is a building. My efficient building means, what do you mean? I have 1 lakh square feet, 2 lakh square feet, I can accommodate 1,000 seats, 2,000 seats. They said, I'm not interested. I'm talking about, what is that you're going to save me? Save me, okay, my business development team thinks that, okay sir, instead of 45 rupees, I'll give 40 rupees. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something else. I'm talking almost like, when Ayodhya Ramreddy sir was experimenting and where he said he lost money and those were the days. When people started understanding what exactly the green buildings are, ESG and all United Nations terms, and that forget about it. Now, what is that you're going to give to the future? That is what is the entire essence of this particular conference as well. So there where we started, okay, now, then we started understanding. When we spoke to the client, he said, boss, I'm talking about my cost, my camp cost. The moment you take a building, the rent is fine. But how efficient, as far as the energy is concerned, energy is of different resources. So are you going to give the regular thing and say the government is giving to 1 rupee tariff less than other things? No, it's beyond that. So that is when we started getting into this, did a lot of research. We had a separate team to make our building efficient. Now, I would proudly claim that Phoenix is one of the first builders to start with steel constructions in Hyderabad, including residential. And I would like to take start from where my earlier developer just trying to search him. Upstream conversations. Upstream conversations are very, very important, which we have been doing it for the last 1.5 decades. So we understand the need of a client, and we tell to our architect and the main consultant, these are the things what we need. It's not steel stuck on the structure of the building. It should be when we way forward, the futuristic. When talk, most of the people our building is futuristic. It's not that. Futuristic in what sense? Future in sense is like I'm saying that. I was also talking to our vendors about supply chain. We were talking about how best you can give me a product when I buy a mortar with you, the bricks with you, or steel with you. How efficient is your production? So that is the kind of understanding we have. Very soon you will be listening to green steel. You'll be listening to green cement. Very short, because innovation has become an in thing now. We can't afford to wait for things. So we're talking about Phoenix and innovation go hand in hand. Even in your case, when you started your conversation, HYSEA, you were talking about e-energy, e-waste, e-mobility, all this put together is my G infrastructure, that is green infrastructure. We are here to deliver that with this entire combination of it. Coming back to the way we plan at our place, like when we talk to the client, because it's a competitive field, my other competitors are complementing my business also. So when we negotiate, we tell them what is this saving 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We charge a rental at a premium. Suppose my other company is giving 65 rupees, I'm giving my space 75 rupees. I'm showing them a profit of 20 rupees down the lane. So that is the beauty of how you design your product. Thanks to the entire, once again, ECG models and and we don't take this platinum rated IGBs just for heck of it. We do practice it. And we were the first people to showcase it to the Telangana government, Andhra government, and many of the international trade houses, also global bodies, come and done a case study with us. So that particular sense, I was trying to invite THub innovators, entrepreneurs here to do some case studies, and we want to learn from them. So we don't want to restrict ourselves and say, like either somebody said, that we don't want to restrict, don't do that particular gamut. World is such mix. So the more and more you think, the more and more you innovate. We really don't know where I'm going to save or spend now. So that is what is the basic formula what we're going to adopt. So with this, I think there's a huge scope in this particular field. The more and more you work on it, more and more you're sowing for the future. Forget about the millions you earn, but what is the real, ask this about the way asset you give to the future is this what? The environment, the green environment, the children should breathe green, the children should live in a green environment. This is what is the background of Phoenix growing such fast with the fantastic buildings. Thank you, Dipesh.
So one add-on question that I have, Srikanth, for you. See, when you talk about the going green, right, the long-term ownership value, I think the case studies are that it's actually good in favor of the owner, right? But as a builder upfront, your capex should be higher than if you're not going green. So as a business house, how do you balance out the initial higher capex versus the customer incentives in the long term and still be able to run a profitable business and still focus on innovation?
That's a business secret you're asking me. Still, I would like to answer for the ecology factor. See, just now sir has said, I just learned one word from economics, carbonomics. I'm spelling it right, sir? Economics, yeah, good. Thank you. So, the way when I talk to my client, in fact, they demand me. It's not me I'm offering. Nowadays, MNCs, most of the clients, their awareness is far, far ahead. So we are learning from them, we are trying to deliver them. So when I'm able to deliver them, there are no questions asked once I deliver them. I'm giving them the product what they need, which is futuristic, which is efficient. Whatever they need, I'm giving 15 years from ahead. So no questions asked. So I'm saving my business secret as well.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Srikanth. That's a beautiful segue for me to ask Rohit, because you talked about the customer perception, not just acquisition cost, but the customers are very interested in understanding the CAM, the running cost, correct? And then Rohit's company has been doing some wonderful work in terms of particularly the air conditioning and the HVAC system. How do you kind of reduce the CAM? So Rohit, what has been the traction in the industry that you've seen so far? And your work is largely with what? The large tech parks, the hospitality, hotel groups. What kind of traction are you seeing? And how are you able to actually deliver tangible, quantifiable value to your customers?
Sure. First thing, I would like to thank HYSEA and THub for inviting me, and it's a pleasure sharing the stage with esteemed, knowledgeable people here. When we look at energy, right, in Zobia, like internally, so we look at it in 3 aspects. So the generation, transmission, and the usage. So when we started up, it was easy for us to look at how the usage patterns are happening. And a few things which we have found out with respect to energy is, prices are always increasing and things like that. But when you take buildings into consideration, 1/3 of global emissions are from them, and electricity is the major reason for that. So we wanted to look at why, if it is so heavy problem why there are not many technologies coming up. One thing is most energy efficient technologies, they require either capex or a lot of infrastructural changes, and this discourages most buildings to take it up because they wouldn't want their operations to get affected. So that is where we have developed our products. So if you can see on the screen, so we have got two sets of products which we call them as SaverX and Soul. So SaverX, it's exclusively for large buildings like this, grade A buildings, grade A and B buildings. So what this does is there is an AI algorithm on the back end which optimizes the usage of HVAC systems. Why specifically HVAC systems? Because in commercial buildings like this, like 70 to 80% energy consumption is from these HVAC systems. And one problem, like as was pointed out earlier, so the thermal comfort, right? So you always want to put it at 21 degrees, say 18 degrees or 22, it's up to the user. But given these scenarios, how do I still save energy? So that is where this product comes into the picture, where it can integrate with your existing systems like BMS systems and still deliver those savings right from day one. And as we were developing this, the other aspect which we have seen is on the supply end, right? So you got multiple machineries or equipments, not just in commercial buildings, in industries as well. And electricity is mostly like a unknown factor, right? You can't see it with the eye. So what happens is like you can't even see those inefficiencies happening and things like that. So that is where the Soul product, as the name suggests, it lets you know internally what's happening. And it addresses most of the industries and small and mid-sized spaced buildings as well, wherein they can benchmark their usage, or if there are any appliances that are going to go bad, they get to know things like this. And this wholly operates on a wireless IoT network. But yeah, so as we were developing this, what we found was how do we make sure that it is scalable enough as well. So one thing is we work with companies who hold a portfolio of buildings, but we also work or partner with companies which are into facility management, BMS providers, utilities, not exactly in India, but because they are state run, but with utilities as well, or HVAC OEMs as well. So wherein we have worked with two of the companies where they provide these room air conditioners, which we see in all our homes. But how do we make sure they are energy efficient as well? You might have seen this BEE 5-star.
So if you don't mind, Rohit, I just interruption. So you're essentially kind of talking about a business model where you are quote unquote nearly guaranteeing savings, right? So in terms of business model, are you actually still asking the customer to pay you, or are you saying that I'm going to save you X and therefore we just split the savings? What's been your model, and where is the uptick coming from the customers?
So one thing which we have observed is we wanted to remove that capex part. So that is where we have been operating on OPEX part with a refundable deposit to start off. And the other thing which we have observed a few months ago is when we price our products based on the savings. Because most of the clients we work with, they have these budgets for the products they procure with respect to climate and things like this. So you wouldn't want those numbers changing every month because energy consumption is always going to change. So what we do is like a subscription, a fixed amount every month, and there the client will save.
Wonderful, thank you. So Vivek, we've heard a lot about business models. We've heard about the cost, the capex, and the opex, everything. And coming from venture capital side, while everybody talks about green, right? But you as a VC firm has a mandate to always give anywhere from 20 to 28% IRR to your LPs. So in terms of the VC world, are you seeing some genuine interest in investing in ESG space, or to put it very bluntly, still a lip service? What's your take on that?
I think it's beyond lip service now. However, I think there is still some more work to be done, because a lot of the companies who are coming and presenting themselves as solution providers, and I think a lot of them are exceptions here, so I don't mean people who are here, but a lot of them are still scratching the surface. And I think there is a need to deep dive to understand what is the work going on. And I go back to the question you had asked earlier about, let's take an example of statutory compliance, for example. I think as a country, we started work in plastic, which is the largest space, for example, starting a regulatory change, which happened about 4 or 5 years ago with EPR being introduced. And today in the plastic world, EPR is a very large space. But having said that, and I think many people who understand that space well, I'm sure Mr. Rami Reddy will understand that space well. Today, the true work happening in EPR space versus a lot of places where there is a paper trail around EPR happening, and how much of it is the real work and how much of it is just a paper trail. I think that is where the secret, so to say, lies. And I think a lot of the investors or the VCs or PE funds today are wanting to understand that space better, to understand that is this real work happening, and are we in line with utilizing technology to the best possible manner in studying, understanding, analyzing, and looking at the future so that a scalable model can be produced there. So I think tech is a very, very clear trend. So if anyone is talking about it, the questions that are being asked is, let's understand the depth, let's understand the technology, and let's understand the scalability. But having said that, I think it is a very, very important parameter, because all the LPs, all of the investors, whether they are large funds or HNIs or family offices, it's very important that they are asking these questions. So when they sit down and we present an investment to them saying we are looking at investing in this company, a lot of the questions being asked are revolving around ESG. Saying, and human capital amongst the ESG is one of the largest piece that people are asking questions around. That what kind of work is being done on the human capital? Are they following the rules? Are they doing all that? And I think one last piece, while still staying with statutory, is also to look at the future. Because so far, most spaces statutory is seen as present or the past.
Right.
Whereas in the ESG space, I think the need to have an eye on the future is far more important. And going back, let's say, to the EPR topic, today EPR is only on a certain category of waste. But there is already discussion that oil should come into a EPR category. There is a discussion on textile which should come into the EPR category. So our startups and our companies already beginning to look at those sectors, because that's where the future lies. Plastic is important, but a lot of people are already in that space. Right. So I think those would be what I would think are the thought process going on. But having said that, I think ESG is a very, very critical perspective when you look at it. When I wear a investor's hat, I think it is a very important risk mitigation tool. It's a very important brand tool, because a lot of you go and study the litigation that has happened on a lot of the firms, whether large or small. If there was a very cadence, governance-oriented ESG that was applied, then a lot of them may not have happened. And I think from that perspective, investors are very, very keen and looking at that.
So in fact, what you said, it's very interesting that you're seeing that a lot of the LPs are actually kind of wanting to understand the ESG space and are looking at the human capital, right, which is very, very encouraging. Having said that, I'm sure it's also encouraging for a lot of startups in the ecosystem. If you were to just drill it down, right, and say what are the 3 things that a startup entrepreneur should think about before they come to pitch for a VC funding? What are the top 3 things in your mind?
So I think one very clearly is a solid, transparent reporting and a matrix mechanism, so that they can go deeper than just we are ESG compliant or here's what we are doing. And we saw some of the startups talk about it. For example, the HYSEA, and you were talking about the background checks that you can do, what is the energy conservation and how you're measuring it and what does it result in, or even what Shrikant talked about from a long-term perspective. So one is that what is the measurability that you can bring and demonstrate to people. The second, I think, is transparency, that what and how are we getting the data? Where is the data coming from and how much can we trace that data? So is there a traceability, or is this a manual data that I'm feeding in and then showing you a bunch of graphs at the back? So the traceability is the second piece. And I think the third piece is the human aspect of it. That, what people are going to ask is that, what are we doing? And this is where I think that, the 3 levels, the scope 3 comes in very, very interestingly here, that, what are we doing around that? especially in the waste management space, for example, a lot of it is outsourced. You know, whether it's the corporate or even some of the waste management companies, they are themselves outsourcing, or the municipal corporations. So how well is the scope 3 people aspects being taken care in case you are in that space? So I would think those 3 would be what I would think are the top 3.
Sure. Thank you. Moving on to Ganges, one of the things, I don't know where I read it, but I distinctly remember that there was a paper I was reading where they said the last 2 world wars were actually fought because of economic reasons. And the expectation is that whenever a 3rd world war, if it ever happens, would actually be fought for water. Right? That's the sort of paper I read quite a few years back, and it just stuck me in mind. And it's very interesting that you're actually in the water treatment, STP area, and you come up with a very, I wouldn't say unique, but more like innovative, very different sort of approach to sewage treatment plants. And you also start getting some traction, correct? And that seems to be a phenomenally large problem that everybody has a problem. STP, whether it's communities, whether it's large industrial estates, whether it is tech parks, everybody has to have water treatment. So is it like you have a phenomenally large market just waiting for you to go grab it, or are you struggling to get the market?
Very interesting question and well put. Today, across the country, we are severely challenged by water security. When I touch this subject, it's not about not having good water. If you have 1 billion liters of water in a lake, just about 1 million liters go there, touch that 1 billion liters, makes that entire 1 billion liters unusable, unsafe. This is unfortunate reality of how much we are unable to handle the wastewater that is a result of rapid urbanization and the way we have launched our lifestyles. Now when we deploy complex sewage treatment systems or effluent treatment systems, that was the choice that we made when we began industrialization in 30-40 years ago. But long way we have come only to realize that today STPs and ETPs are the 6th largest contributors to the GHG emissions. And the entire ESG chapter is all about how do we minimize that and run away, as far as from this 1.5 degree temperature raise, which is going to catastrophically affect us. So the choices that we make to deploy in addressing one problem shouldn't create a secondary issue. That is what precisely happening with sewage treatment and effluent treatment. That we have not looked at certain alternatives. So I feel water security is in our hands, that if we are able to contain our used water properly and treat it well, we are fairly okay. The next part is the rainwater. How do we actually leverage that? As far as our work is concerned, you asked about, is it still an idea? Are you getting traction? Are you struggling? Well, middle of COVID, sitting home, not knowing where the world will head, I was wondering, what did I do? I had a beautiful career in US. I wanted my son to grow in India, so I brought him back before he's 5-year-old. And I was part of a sustainable community building a large campus for 5 years as a volunteer. Then came an opportunity to look at sewage treatment in that campus, and that brought me into this field that yes, there are alternative ways to treat sewage. And I found that this is a great idea. With that great idea in heart, I traveled around the country, almost 5 lakh kilometers. Military stations, residential colonies, schools, colleges, institutions, the big names, I found the most corrupt practices. Sustainability is at convenience. If it is cheaper, economical, I'll try to adopt. And that also if it gives you other edges. So with this, we struggled a lot till about 2021. We were at a point where we were not sure, when will the country wake up to the reality that the entire rest of the world, who has spoiled the world faster, have gone quickly at solutions in fixing it, and we woke up late in that sense. So these solutions that are nature-based solutions are century old. They've been there in India and others have learned it, but they have engineered it so well. Now that we are able to bring back such solutions to India, you can see this image that such a complex sewage treatment system could be replaced by this system. This is sitting right next to the bedrooms and balconies. If I put a development here and sell the central plot to STP and say that here is my STP, how many of you will buy the plot? Any one of you? It's very difficult because the nature of the treatment itself is so complex. And there are orders around it because you're exposing the water to the ambient air, and every time wind blows, it picks up the aroma, free of cost. Yeah. Well, so we brought these solutions and we struggled. Now we got to a level of engineering advancement in the system that instead of using a 5 square meter to treat 1,000 liters, we are able to treat this below 1 square meter. Most of your communities that have gardens, give me one garden, your STP will be done. And you would not know. The ETV fellow came to interview me at this place and he told me, where do I set up the camera? I said, go put up the STP. He was roaming around for 15 minutes, not understanding where the STP is. And this garden is one of the 5 gardens that the community has. So similarly, for the lakes and water bodies, we have taken a pledge that unless we become a rich country where we can solve every problem, which is far from reality. Our lakes are going to receive sewage no matter what we do. Our water bodies are going to receive sewage. So we figured out ways how we can fix the natural biome within the water body, that a water body can fix itself by itself because the natural bacteria can do the job. It's just that we have overloaded it. So we understood the nutrient cycles and we brought in level of engineering. Today I have a 25-member team. We work across the nation. We cannot run all along the nation because I did that crazy job for 5 years. Now I understood that we cannot run every day, everywhere. So we set up channel partners across the country. We are about 3 of them right now. We are looking for 10 more. We got about 6 crore turnover this year. 24 will be closing somewhere around 10 crores. Following year is looking like crazy, like somewhere between 100 to 200 crores. Because Madhya Pradesh state has said, first state to declare that for all the towns that are below 1 lakh population, we will go with nature-based solutions because the energy cost is huge in sewage treatment and it requires qualified people to babysit these treatment systems. That is not possible in towns. So for a good reason they chose, and we came one of the finalists in that KPMG evaluation. So we are seeing a rapid growth now, and it's really a struggle now, a good problem to have. Then I'm looking at systems, I'm looking at investors, I'm looking at how we can engineer these systems and manage this whole thing differently. Money doesn't motivate me as much, but we have to be profitable. So we are also looking at creating a social impact enterprise for profit to see that this goes to every village. This goes to as much as I may be dreaming a lot, but what drives us is that every project we do, it provides for carbon sequestration, it reduces emissions, the system works for 30 years, a gardener can run it. Next to COVID, my systems are going to be run beautifully. There is no issue because we don't need technical people to support them. This is the brief story.
Wonderful. I think that's I think you really hit the nerve there. If you can make the system to work smoothly with quote unquote unskilled people, then it becomes very sustainable. That's beautiful.
One important point is that a lot of people, most of us, when we buy a car, the first question we ask, except for the 1% top who do not worry about money, what is the cost of the car? This next question is, kitna dega? Is there anybody who bought a car without asking that question? So life cycle cost plays a major role whether we can sustain our lives with an iPhone or Android or STP. A 1 MLD of sewage treatment plant today costs standalone 3 crores, but it takes 13 to 14 crores in 15-year lifespan to run it, which most of this upstream between CBRE coming and taking over the STP from a developer, they will realize how much money is going to drain out of their corpus. Our STPs are saving literally 60% on the operations cost. A 3 crore is draining you 13 crores. My 3 crores is saving you 7 crores compared to conventional system. This is the financial equation. Environment sustainability of low energy, low emissions, carbon sequestration, social acceptability, being able to tolerate and be around it happily, economic viability. These 3 things are completely met with any solution that we have, whether for STPs or ATPs or for water bodies.
Thank you. Srikanth, would you like to add something? Please.
Same thing. Thanks. When I wanted to ask for the outlet of treated water and all, it costed me, as I said, pretty big amount apart from other charges. When I went for a good source of treating the water and retaining much of it, there was no need of outletting the water. That was a saving, huge saving. And what I invested in STP is almost like 30% of what I'm supposed to spend off the boundary. So offset infrastructure government supposed to provide. So I saved on that and I spent on here. So it's state saving. So people see what I'm trying to say is At the same time, we should take this opportunity to go for the awareness thing as well, the infrastructure wise, on which probably we can do it together. The more and more we can talk about, the innovations, what we can do, what good can do. Forget about the money and all. But if it's doing good for the society and adding for the ESG, it's good.
Thank you, Srikanth. I know we are running behind the curve, so I'll stop over here. But before I stop, there's one question, Ram Reddy Garu, that has come for you from the audience, which is about talking about how significant is the regulatory framework in making ESG more mainstream. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
No, first of all, very good interactions, very happy to listen to everyone. Very meaningful. As I told, actually, whatever we have done in the past, there is a lot of gap. Here is an opportunity. In all these spaces where what we have listened, the inadequacies that have gone into our system are giving us an opportunity to convert into a great business for future. Every building that is constructed provides opportunity in all these spaces what we are talking. Let me tell you on the water side. While disposal aspect we are talking that it's going to give us cost reduction, but if you look at completely recycling it back, what is the cost of fresh water that we are looking at? So if you can replace the treated water for your consumption, you see the cost economics. You are going to save huge on that. So for that, I mean, there is a business model that is already established. So you can certainly look at it. On the waste side also, zero waste. Actually, this is the only way we have to move forward, especially for our country. Because if you look at China has built big, but we are yet to start our journey. So we should, if we can bring in our best practices, learning from the mistakes what they have done, I think we have a great opportunity. Coming back on the regulatory side, I must tell you, Government of India is certainly now in the last two terms, last 10 years, I can see they started really putting the best practices. See, everywhere they are trying to give solutions towards the 360-degree solutions they are trying to bring in around recycle, reuse, recovery, reduction. These sort of methods they are really encouraging. They're also trying to see solutions at the design stage, how best the consultants can be brought in and encouraged. And they are making it easy for especially when I saw the industrial and urban solutions, they are trying to provide us with solutions at a individual industry level or a developer level, and also trying to encourage systems, which I'm sorry, can I have some water? Yeah. Certainly at a policy level and the government level, regulatory level, I saw solutions which are really encouraging the industry and every stakeholder Sorry, something wrong there. No, actually. No, I just, no. Sorry, actually, I did not have proper sleep for last few days, actually. I just came running and little giddiness. Sorry for that. Regulatory level, I can tell you every rule that is getting framed is coming handy for the industry and every business house to really focus on the ESG in a big way. Just to give you some example, which in fact we were advocating for these things. Single environmental clearance. We are talking for every industrial park. And which government now is supporting, in a big way. The environmental department is really coming out. Previously, every industry has to go with individual environmental clearance. Every product they are supposed to get clearances. All those things are getting eliminated. Same thing for townships. The entire environmental solutions are being worked out, keeping in the sustainability in mind. So I can see that the actions and the initiations that are coming from government are really going to support the industry in a big way.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we'll do the honors to the panel. May I request Manisha, Ram, and maybe Rami Reddy Garu is here. Please join. No? All right. Okay. Let's give away some mementos. Hitesh Hiran from Greenfit. They'll probably take picture. Sure. Bipin, join them for the picture. Hitesh Hiran, Arun Murugesh from Sahas Zero Waste. Thank you, Arun, for taking time to come from Bangalore for us. N. Chandrasekhar, founder of Jivol Biofuels. N. Chandrasekhar. Shrikant Badiga, Group Director, Phoenix Group. Rohit, Founder and CEO, Zodia. Vivek Verma, Strategic Advisor and Venture Partner, Silver Needle Ventures. Ganges Reddy. Did you change your name or is it really Ganges Reddy?
See, that was the difficult part. I was in the US for a decade. I couldn't say Gangadhara properly. I got to Ganges and I came to water. It sticks well now.
Good, and it's true to what you're doing. MD and CEO, Blue Drop Enviro. Thank you, Bipin, for this wonderful panel. With that, we come to a close of today's program. Sorry, we have gone beyond our schedule, but I just have one last announcement to make before we close. We have a team of industry leaders who would like to come forward and offer mentorship. And I would like to read their names out. If there's any startup interested in mentoring, you may write to us, we'll connect you to them. I'd like to call on Satish Wadlamani, Vice President Genpact. I think Satish is going. Sharif from Cognizant, Associate Director, Corporate Workplace. Sharif, if you just at least raise your hand so that they know it is Sharif and they can reach out to you. Kishore Bora, Managing Director, Energy Tech. Kishore also would like to offer the services as a mentor. Indrajit from CBRE told us to announce this as well. And Vivek Verma from Silver Needles, the venture capitalist partner. Right. Thank you very much. And with this, I would like to invite Ramakrishna Lingireddy, our General Secretary, HYSEA, and President, OroProSoft, to give us the vote of thanks. Thank you. Here.
It's a tough job standing between the networking session and conclusion of this. But thank you everyone for your participation, and I extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the esteemed speakers, panelists, and attendees for making this event a remarkable success. We sincerely thank Kishore, MD of Energy Tech, Manisha, Kishore for setting up the context, and Manisha for her inaugural speech. And we also sincerely appreciate MSR Garu for sharing his insights regarding the startup ecosystem from Hyderabad and its focus on ESG. And many thanks to our special guest, Mr. Ayodhya Ramireddy Garu, for enlightening us in terms of the opportunities that we have at this point of time where the world is looking for solutions from India. I would like to thank Prashant and Bipin for successfully moderating our panel discussions, which are very enthusiastic and interesting. And this kind of program, as we mentioned, this is the third in its series, requires a significant preparation and dedication. And we would like to express our sincere gratitude to the following individuals and also to the organizations who have helped us to make this happen. Bipin Pendiala, Kishore Bora, Shanti, and Neeraja from HYSEA Secretariat, and the entire HYSEA team. Shravan, Varsha, and Rajesh from THub for their assistance in reaching out to the startups. Then special thanks to Satish Wadlamani in terms of inviting our special guests for today and making it happen. We are also deeply appreciative of our essential outreach partners, including ISF, NASCOM, FICCI, CII, FITCI, TMFC, IIIT Hyderabad, D Labs, ISB, TIE Hyderabad, India Partners, Succeed, Innovation Fund, Hyderabad Angels, and Edu Ventures Park. We thank our sponsors for the invaluable support in bringing this impactful programs. The industry pattern sponsors Broadridge, First Source, and ServiceNow. Ecosystem partners ICICI Bank, NSL, and Rahiza Mindspace. Annual platinum sponsor Mallarity University. Annual gold sponsor HSBC. We appreciate all your participation and very interactive session. Looking forward for you to join the networking session and I would say in a more relaxed setting than sitting here for a long time. Thank you, and let's work together for a more sustainable and prosperous future.
No, there's not any big announcement. I just wanted to tell that our ecosystem partner HYSEA has got some nice goodies for us. Please don't forget to collect them. And the startups have put up their demonstrations towards the end of this room. We request that you take a look at the demos and then go over for dinner. Thank you very much.